I guess we all know that possums are a problem in New Zealand, but what we don't know is that we use mathematics to control them. Here to tell us a little bit more about that is mathematician Jennifer Brown. Hi Jennifer, how are you?
Hi, nice to meet you.
Now, I'm guessing that to control possums with mathematics, we're not threatening them with calculus. We have other ways of doing that. How do we control possums through mathematics?
Well, the mathematics don't actually control the possums, as you say. The mathematics, we use them to do a better job at controlling possums. Because possum control in New Zealand is actually a really big problem, because there's so many possums and there's so much area of land where the possums are. And we spend a lot of money and a lot of time and energy trying to reduce the possums down to a low level. And my work in statistics comes in is looking at, well, once we've got the possums down to a low level, we need to know how many possums are remaining. So we need to somehow go out there and count the number of possums that are there. And my work is looking at, well, what's the best way to count them? Because it's really hard to count things when there aren't that many animals. There's lots of animals, lots of possums. It's quite easy to count them. But when most of the time you're walking around and you don't see possums, how best to count them and estimate the population size?
Okay, so how do you count those elusive little possums?
Well, the best way to do it at the moment is with this device. Now, this is some work which I've been doing with a company here in Christchurch, and we developed this product called the Wax Tag.
Right. So
what this little device is this plastic top here, and down the bottom is this piece of wax down here.
Okay.
And you can actually this wax is quite soft, so you can feel it. See how soft that wax is?
Yeah, quite soft.
And so we nail this wax tag, it's called a wax tag, nail it to a tree, and the possum comes along, they see it, and they go, well, this is something interesting, and take a bite out of it.
Yes.
And their bite marks, from the bite marks you can tell that a possum's been there.
Ah.
And see, in New Zealand there's not many animals which are on the ground, and so the only things that would bite one of these wax blocks down the bottom would be like a possum or a rat or a hedgehog or a stoat. And they've all got really distinctive teeth, and possums have got a very distinctive bite mark. And so just from you can tell by the bite marks in the wax whether a possum's been there.
Okay.
So these here, we put these here, nail them to a tree.
Yeah.
Put them all around the forest, and then just look at the proportion of the wax tags that have been bitten to give you an estimate of how many possums are left remaining in the forest.
Okay.
And then this other little fancy device here
Yeah.
is we nail that onto the top of the wax tag like that, nail it onto the tree.
Yes.
And this piece here actually glows in the dark, because the possums are mobile at night time.
This glows in the dark. I'll just check that out, everybody. It does, actually. That's very good. Be good at a trance party. Yep.
Yeah, you could wear its earrings, whatever
That's
you like.
right.
Yeah. So, and because the possums are nocturnal, you know,
Yes.
they're at night time, and so with this glows in the dark,
Yep.
and they see this here and they bite the wax tag. Would you like to take a bite out of it, see how it
Well,
works?
are you sure it hasn't got any poison?
It's absolutely
involved?
fine. Yep.
Okay, well, I guess I could try. Here, so
Don't bite out of it, just put a bite into it.
There we go.
That'll do it,
Something
that'll
I
do it.
tried. No, it's not very nice.
That's great. See how distinctive you can see your teeth are?
Yeah.
Have you been to the dentist recently? So
Do they
great.
remarkably like a possum?
Well, no, it's the dirt in there. Well, no, there's nothing like a possum at all. So I can tell
Good.
that a possum hasn't been in the forest, but I can tell that you have.
Right.
So
yes.
it's so the wax is quite soft. So you can see the bite marks, and literally
Yes.
just by looking at the number of tags that have got bite marks in them, we can get an estimate of how many possums there are.
Right.
And so where the statistics come into all of this is, well, where do I put these? What's the best way to put all my wax tags out in the forest? Do I spread them along lines, or do I put them in circles, and
Yep, or
the best
random
layout,
places,
random?
yep.
How long do I leave them out there? All those questions about the field method, the way we collect the data in the field, the way we count possums, that's actually statistics.
Okay, so you crunch numbers to try and find the most efficient way with, I guess, the dollars that you've got as well. That's all part of the equation, I guess, and the time you've got to get the best results.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. And where the wax tags are a new development in New Zealand is, in the past we used to count possums by putting traps out and counting possums in traps, but traps are very heavy and quite time consuming, take a lot of work to put out, and there's a limit to how many traps you can put out in the forest in one day. Whereas these devices, you can put out thousands in a day.
Yep.
So the big change has been moving away from having a few traps to having many, many wax tags, and so we're collecting a lot more data. So that's actually, as a statistical statistical nuance there to look at sort of the most important thing about estimating animal size populations, the size of animal populations, is to be looking at sample size, how many devices you can use in the field.
So you studied maths, but you spend a lot of your time in the field. Is that right?
Yeah, I think I'm in a really exciting field. So what I do, my background is actually in forestry and in ecology and environmental science, and then I moved into statistics.
Okay.
And so now I work now in this area which I call the interface of biology and statistics. So the work I do is all about how to do biology better. Because once you study biology, you realise that biology is all about numbers. Invariably, you're going to be counting data, trying to understand what's some biological process, trying to understand the ecosystem, what's happening out there in the field. All comes down to numbers. And so you actually need statistics. And so what I do, I work in the area between statistics and biology. And my background's in biology, so I understand biology, and I love statistics.
Yeah.
It's the two areas which I work in. And it's an exciting field. It's fun.
So I guess, when you were at school, did you think that this sort of work was available, with the interest in maths and maybe biology, that this is the sort of work you could get into?
Didn't know anything about it. I had no idea. I really enjoyed biology at school, and I also really enjoyed mathematics and statistics. And I went through university, and right at the end, I finally realised I could bring the two together. So I did two separate degrees at university, and right at the end, I realised the two are the same. So I work in what I call environmental monitoring. So it's monitoring the environment to understand the quality of the environment, and my area in there is looking at how best to collect data in the field, sampling field designs.
Are there any other projects that you're working on at the moment, other than the possum work?
A really exciting project we're starting at the moment is looking at another invasive species, so not possums, but weeds, so plants.
Yep.
And it's much the same questions there. If you're trying to detect a new weed that's arrived in New Zealand, or trying to do what we call early surveillance, so there's very few weeds, what's the best way to go out there in the field and count how many weeds are there, when most of the time you don't see them? So the questions are, if I've got $1,000 to spend, how best do I spend that money if I'm going to search for weeds? Do I search for weeds every day? Do I search for weeds once every 10 years? And if I search for weeds every day, if I find a weed, it'll be easy to control because it'll be very small. I can just pull it out by my hand. It's going to cost me lots of money to go there every day. Or I could go once every 10 years. So it's not going to cost any money to do the field work. But when I find the weed, I'll find it easily because it'll be so big and it'll cost lots of money to control. So that balance between searching for weeds, the cost of searching and the cost of controlling them. And if I am searching, how best do I do it? Do I just randomly walk around the countryside? New Zealand's a big place. How do I target my survey effort? What's the best way to design my field studies? So a lot of my work is field work. I'm probably one of the few statisticians who gets out there, and I'm in the field a lot.
And you love that, obviously.
That's great.
Yeah.
Who wants to be inside all the time?
Okay. Thanks very much for talking to us today, Jennifer. It's been fantastic.
Thanks.